There is something very special about the original Thurgood Marshall Middle School, Eastern Junior High.
When I was here, it was 7th, 8th, and 9th grades. It wasn't 6, 7, and 8 like it is now.
I've actually noticed that there really hasn't been a lot of change as far as the essence of Marshall Middle School, that it's always been a very strong community, and it continues to be a strong community no matter who's in the building.
Our school wasn't always called Thurgood Marshall Middle School. Generations of students knew it as Eastern Junior High School.
I just want to say that Marshall is a very, very special place. There are a lot of kids and actually a lot of teachers that have come here and might not be working here now, but anytime we talk about Eastern Junior High or Marshall, people get a smile.
I graduated from here. You want me to tell the truth? Yeah. 1954, which I think by my math is 61 years ago.
Were the desks and stuff arranged the same way when you were here?
No, as a matter of fact, when I went here, when I taught here later, the desks were like, but when I first came here, the desks were bolted to the floor, and they were wooden, and they opened, and we'd put all our books in there. You know, we didn't have these lockers like you do, and it was a different time, a different era. We actually had inkwells in our desks, and they give us pens at the beginning of the year to write with.
The first principal here when it was a junior high was Dr. Frank L. Whipple. Dr. Whipple had a very unique story. Before he came to education, he was an ordained minister, and believe it or not, a medical doctor. After those careers, he became a teacher and taught the city of Lynn for 25 years before becoming the principal of Eastern Junior High.
There's a warmth to the building and there is a history to the building that is difficult to recreate in a new space. So I think that when you walk around the building and you see the way that teachers use the space that they have, it's very creative and it's very inviting, and I will miss that.
The old building has a lot of historical importance to the city of Lynn. I mean, from what I've heard, a lot of the Italian immigrants went to the school.
Our first principal, Dr. Frank L. Whipple, retired in 1929, and he was succeeded by Mr. Edgar M. Copeland, who had been principal of the Ingalls School. Mr. Copeland was principal from 1929 to 1944, when he also retired.
The first vice principal of Eastern Junior High was Mr. James J. O'Leary. At that time, the school had 1,210 students and just 52 teachers, so it was decided that the position of vice principal had become a necessity.
Mr. Lewis J. Thistle was principal from 1944 until 1957, when he went on to become principal of Lynn English High School.
"1964 saw big changes to Eastern Junior High. A new addition to the school was built, separate from the main building. We all remember the brick corridor that led to the library and the combination cafeteria/auditorium. Did you know that the old cafeteria could seat 400 students for lunch and could fit 700 people for assemblies? When Mr. Thistle left for Lynn English, Mr. O'Leary was interim principal from November 1957 to January 1958. In 1958, Dr. William P. Rogers was chosen as the new principal.
Let's see, Dr. Gandolfo was the principal when I started teaching here. It was wonderful. In fact, the library in this building is named after him. And he was quite the caring principal. He was. He took pity on this young girl to make sure that I did the right thing. Especially one day when I remember the students pulled a fire alarm. And my father at the time was the chief of the fire department in Lynn. And the fire alarms were not covered with plastic. So we would all, of course, have to rush out of the building. And then my father would scold me and told me that I wasn't doing a good job keeping the kids away from the fire alarms because it cost the city a lot of money. So then when I got back in my classroom, I made sure I went over that with them. And I think the kids took pity on me because they didn't want me to get yelled at by my dad. After Dr. Gandolfo, Mr. Filer, he was the vice principal here.
The principal when I started here was Mr. Filer, and he was a fabulous principal. I thought he was great. All the kids were very much afraid of him, which is kind of funny because he's not particularly tall. But he knew all the kids' names, and he supported all the teachers. He was really a great guy.
I always used to tell my students about the ghost in Marshall Middle School. And they didn't always believe me, but in these old rooms and buildings, when the heat was turned on in the winter, and then when you had a really bad rainstorm, a snowstorm, you could feel it in this building, either through the windows or the woodwork. And I would tell them that they would come and visit me, and they used to laugh about that and question me and not always believed it, but I think I convinced them that past spirits and past students came back and they wanted to visit Marshall Middle School.
Who's watching you? Or what is watching you? There will be no screaming, no crying, and no running. It doesn't matter what you see or what happens to you. You will not scream. You will not run. You will not cry. Here we are. All I can say is every time I come in here, I'm crying. Because there are people that have Mr. Lachio, let's go. The only thing you have from here is the room I'm about to show you.
There's a room over there. Go. You go first. I'm scared.
I've heard rumors about this room. This is where the retired teachers of Marshall.
It's the scariest of all.
Oh my God.
Imagine this at midnight tonight. I'll pay you $100 to stay here. What little people know is that over here, we never knew this existed until we were looking for scrap metal. Look out for the water, we're not going all the way in.
Shine a light on there.
I'm trying, but there is no light that can penetrate this darkness, Mr. Kaplan.
I guess not.
Look at over there, there's desks. I see a hand. Victor, look out behind you! Can we cut through? Oh, go right ahead. Thanks.
You might regret those words.
Okay.
head down with the guy and do something possible.
So we will go up the stairwell one by one. There will be no screaming, no crying, and no running. It doesn't matter what you see or what happens to you. You will not scream. You will not run. You will not cry. Let's go. Tread gently. Who's watching you? Or what is watching you? It's a sink to wash your hands.
That's a light.
I told you, when you're in gym, you better be careful. Who's watching you? What's watching you? It's not, I'm not the one to blame.
That's a big spotlight.
We are about to enter what used to be the girls' locker room. What it's called now, I can't say. It's not allowed. Just be careful is all I'm going to tell you. Should we do this? This is dangerous on many levels. Yeah.
It's like a gate, like a prison gate.
Yes, it is. The souls of many children who did not participate in the show. Come out, little children, come out! Come out, little children, come out! Why does it smell in here? Someone's keys are in here. Whose keys are in here? What's going on? I'm serious, what's going on? What's what is going on in here? What? Victor? I know, what is it? Why is this opened? What is going on? Mr. Lacio, I don't like this. What's going on? Am I going to scream? What's going on? What's this smell in here? What's going on? I wouldn't touch that. No, I wouldn't. But I will. What is it? Oh my God!
So a fun fact about Marshall Middle School is that there is a purple teddy bear located in the teacher's mailroom on the first floor. And we started noticing it, I think this school year or last school year, but nobody knows how long it's been there for, and nobody knows who put it there, and nobody knows if it's ever going to come down. And it's probably still there today.
Well, one of the memories is this was my first job for the City of Lynn. And so usually your first job is a memorable one. It was a tight-knit faculty, and that made the job a lot more rewarding.
The cafeteria was on the 3rd floor. It was way up there, and there were sewing rooms up there and cooking rooms, and this is where I learned how to sew and cook.
I came to Marshall Middle School in 1987, and I stayed here until 2010. I was sad when I left in 2010. I was very sad to leave because I was leaving a great building, a great staff, great kids, parents. I was very sad to leave.
Oh my goodness, I am excited. And I think you're going to be excited too, because I've gone through it and it's beautiful. And there's a lot of classroom space. It's very, very pretty, and it's in cluster systems, and they're all color-coded. So there's glass tiles, and the colors match in the lockers, and so it's very, very nice.
Each cluster has a color-coded area all their own. Most importantly, there will be new subjects for students to explore and enjoy.
This is about the only school, these people who all they do is work on schools, but this new Marshall is the only one where they've had to order sewing equipment and sewing machines and pots and pans for the kitchens. There's going to be a cooking room with 6 separate kitchens so everybody can learn how to cook. And so this is going to be the first school in many, many years in the state of Massachusetts with those extras that's going to be in it. It's quite exciting. The library in the new school is going to be a little bit different. There's going to be a whole section with computers so that students can sit and look up things in the computer and use that as reference. There are going to be some sofas and some so you can relax in different areas and read a book if you want. There, of course, will be books to take out, so it's going to be very nice. And next to the library is a big computer room so that there can be classes in the computer room for not only students but for teachers as well. There's a cafeteria. It's very large, and then there's a big stage in the cafeteria, and then there's a 12,000 square foot gym. So from the gym, there are bleachers on both sides, and the entire school can sit on the bleachers and watch the graduation or an event. The cafeteria is on one side, the gym is on another side, the stage is in between, so you can have an event on the cafeteria and watch something happening on the stage, or you can watch from both sides. And there are going to be screens that come down on the stage, so you can have a show. We have a beautiful TV studio, and of course, not in my time, we didn't have a TV studio. There will be a studio with the best of equipment, the best cameras. There will be a broadcast booth so that you can have daily news using the broadcast booth. And there are going to be graphic design rooms. We have a Mac lab for doing graphic design, as well as other computer rooms that use PCs. Again, I spoke of the cooking rooms and the sewing rooms. There will be a carpentry shop. There will be music. There's both an instrumental music room that has some small practice rooms, so you can go and practice your music in those rooms. And there's also a vocal music room where there'll be risers, so students from the chorus can practice their music in those rooms. So we have a lot of areas, beautiful new science rooms, and every cluster has its own science lab. and with a storage place for the teachers to keep all their supplies.
I am as excited as Dr. Latham is. I think the city of Lynn and the children and the parents of Lynn deserve better than where we're sitting. And I think this is a great step, and you can thank Dr. Latham who drove this thing from a thought process right to its fruition.
The whole purpose of being in middle school is transitioning into adulthood and thinking about your future and what you want to do professionally and what you want to do socially and what you want to do athletically. And so moving into a new building also represents this idea that you're starting something new. So that's exciting.